Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot. The comic spot. Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.
Well, you guys, a lot of people that watch these videos don't watch them when they're live, and it's not a problem. Do what you're going to do. These videos are up on my YouTube, and starting this week, they're going to go everywhere podcasts go and shouldn't go. And so you'll see them everywhere that podcasts are found. And these interviews are for you people at home and comedians and club owners and bookers, so you can see who someone is off stage, behind their mask. Yeah. And I'm not talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about the things we do to just be funny. They get on here and they don't have to be funny. They're reals. So you can like sit back at home and get to know them, fall in love with them, see if you want to follow them, show up at their comedy, stalk them. No, don't stalk them. You know what I mean. Help their numbers, help them grow, help their career. Because you fell in, let's say KJ, the comedian today, would tell you that he invented the skateboard, which he didn't. But let's say he did. You might fall in love with him and really connect and feel like he really gets you. So you want to go and support his. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that's going to happen. Just sit back, watch this happen. You're going to fall in love with him for one reason or another. I guarantee you. So enough about me. That's enough about me. Trust me. I could go on for days and you wouldn't like it. So let's do the intro, the professional intro for my guest today. And his name is KJ the Comedian on social media. And his name is, I'm going to try saying his actual name without him prompting me. I'm going to go with Kelechi Javad.
Oh, that's real close.
Javaid.
Yeah, you can go Javaid or Javid, either way. Either way.
Wow.
Yeah. And the
like
first
that.
name is Khaliki. People say Kaleki or Kaliki.
Okay, what do you prefer?
I prefer Kaleki and I prefer Javid, but Javaid is cool too, because that's the American version of it. So
let me try this. Kaleki Javid.
Yep, that's cool.
I did it. Are you listening out there?
Yeah.
I did it. So let me read you his introduction. It says, he's speaking about himself. I'm a multidisciplined freelance artist. Did you hear that? Multidisciplined freelance artist. Whether comedy, acting, poetry, writing, facilitating, and interactive experiences for web. If you've got an exciting project, get in touch with me. So I met you at Bonkers Comedy Club, and I saw you tear up the room with comedy, act outs, stories. What else did I? Poetry.
Poetry, yep. Jokes, short form jokes, traditional form, one-liners. I combine it all.
You did it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, comedy is, for me, you bring everything you experience into your act. For me, that's what I do. I'm a little bit complicated, but also I'm like a good sizzle, like a ribeye that sizzles, but has that good saturated fat on the end that you don't want to throw it away. So I might as well eat this too. That's what I'm like.
You just made me relate to that like you wouldn't believe. How is it that you do what you do at such a high level? Because all the comedians on the show were fabulous, but you took it to a whole nother Oprah Winfrey talk show level. You did. You just blew the roof off the place.
Well, thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Well, I think for me, it comes consistency, passion, just um, love to write, love to perform. Just therapy for me is my escape, from a lot of life situations where you married, family, kids, mentoring other kids. So to do it at a high level means to have a high level of passion for it, and which I do. And so when most comedians they go after a show, they might go drink, party, whatever. I go back to the room and write. I go back and make notes of tags I forgot, or make notes of, oh, I could have added this and could have added that. So I'm highly um, driven, and I'm hungry, and I want to experience new things in comedy. So I want to do things to separate myself by working hard. Well, a work ethic is something my dad taught me. So I have a high work ethic, and I have a voice that I want to share worldwide. So it requires you to really dig in, to be focused, to be disciplined, to be hungry. And so I choose to, love the journey and stay hungry. So
I love that. I wish that if you're listening to this and you know any comedians that aren't hungry or aren't really that motivated, like you just heard here, share this with them, because maybe the passion you just heard can ignite others to get more committed. I know everybody's attracted to doing comedy, but when you hear somebody that's this committed to it, it's worth sharing.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I do try to mentor younger comics, but I'm a student of life and a student of the craft. So I'm always picking like my buddy's brain, the great ones. I got to give a shout out to Tony Woods, who when I met, like we had fun, and then he continued to be my friend even after I've been sober for 10 years. So he continued to, you know, send me crazy videos of monkeys slapping people at the zoo. I'm sorry. Tony, if you hear this, you be sending out some crazy videos to me. So but Tony, so I study the greats too. I don't study in terms of trying to steal their voice or anything like that. I study in terms of knowing that, looking at them enjoy the freedom of speech, the freedom of their voice, the freedom to create, the freedom to say some things that people wouldn't otherwise realize that human experience exists. That fearlessness in saying your voices, it motivates me. It does.
So I want to go back in time. So let's get into a time machine. You
Okay.
can call it a DeLorean if you want. Let's go back in time to the little person you were. And I want to understand, I have to understand who you were at home as a 4, 5, 6-year-old, who you were in first grade, all the way through high school. How did your personality and your funny and your art talent develop? Who helped it? Picture for us who
I,
you
I,
were.
I, yeah, that's a very interesting question because
Thank you.
it comes from growing up. My parents divorced when I was 5 years old. I got 8 brothers and sisters. Then my auntie dropped off 2 cousins and never came back. so we so we had 10 all together, right? um, it started it started off for me. Um, it was painful because my parents divorced, and then my mom traveled a lot trying to find good work. She was a nurse. I remember we lived in Toledo, Ohio, and that's where I started to learn how to play basketball because I really didn't have any friends or anything. So I went to the court, picked up the ball, and just started teaching myself how to play basketball. And then we traveled to Kansas City, New York, different places. I remember my mom took a job in New York, and painful. I could see the pain on her face of we had to sleep on. We were homeless. We had to sleep on the floor of the church because I think the lead pastor uh, didn't want her to preach. He just wanted to take advantage of her sexually, and because she's a beautiful woman, still beautiful to this day. And so, going from Kansas City, different cities, back to Omaha, having to sleep on the floor of the Salvation Army, shelter, homelessness, and then finally settling down. We lived in the project. She finally settled down. And we bought and we rented a house, and all of us was able to share. All the guys had the rooms, and a big enough house for us to try to to get through school. So that helped. And then, but it was some painful times. There's some painful things happened. My mom used to make me stay with my dad. As I told you the story about last night. I mean, the other night with my dad, what he did to put me on track. And just not being jaded or bitter. I mean, because like I said, my dad shot at me to motivate me, and he did real quick. And I went to college, played ball, and that was a challenging experience. Had good coaches, bad coaches, good experience, bad experience.
What
But through it all,
college did you play ball for?
I was at Southern University, New Orleans, University of New Orleans. They sent me to a JUCO in Florida, then back to Missouri Western State College. I finished my last 2 years. I got a full scholarship there too. I always had scholarships because the interesting thing how I got to University of New Orleans, it's a very interesting story, very resilient story. I'll share with you. I had a good season my freshman year at Southern University of New Orleans. I came back. We came back as a historical Black college university, whatever. I come back, then they don't have no more scholarship money, and I got like $38 to my pocket. I'm like, I can't go back home with this thing. I can't go back home. I don't want to get back on that Greyhound. It was a long ride from Omaha to New Orleans. I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I went over to the University of New Orleans. A friend of mine named Mark Pettaway. He's not alive now, but he said, go over there and play. The coach is gonna be there. And I went over there and I balled like I was homeless or something. I don't know. And they gave me a scholarship. They put me on a plane to JUCO, Florida, stayed there, played down there. Then I was down there, and I was thinking I was gonna go back to University of New Orleans, but yeah, it didn't work out because they all got fired. And then I had to go home. And regroup. And I think we were living in the projects at the time. I regrouped, and then I walked on at another school, and they gave me a scholarship. And then the coach, I lost a year of eligibility because they were going from D2 to D1, and so the rules or something like that. And the only reason I chose the school because the Sacramento Kings were there. And I think, oh man, I'm gonna get to play with the pros, and then I get there, and they moved to Sacramento. They were the Kansas City Kings then, and they moved to Sacramento. Oh man, but so that was kind of my college. My young life was hard. It was tough, and I consider myself a very spiritual person, a very resilient person to overcome a lot of situations. I in junior high, I was in Toledo High. I played basketball, love the game, and I said, in the urban setting, we call next. I called next. This dude came up. He said, "I got next." I said, "No, I've been here, man. I called next." I'm just in the 7th or 8th grade at the time, and I'm about 6'2" or something. And he pulls out a gun and runs me off the court. I run into he's running after me. I'm surprised he didn't shoot me, but he run after me with a gun. I guess he wanted to pistol whip me or something. So I run into this other lady's house. I said, "This dude is chasing me with a gun." And then she pulls out her gun and said, "You better get the hell out my motherfucking house." I was scared.
Jeez.
Yeah, in the 8th grade, this happened, and then and then I told my mom about that. She said, "Don't worry about it. We moving back to Omaha anyway." And but yeah, I didn't mean to cuss. It was okay to cuss.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
in the Army.
Okay. So
You know,
anyway, but anyway, that was my childhood, and then I was so I had such a bad. I didn't have a good relationship with my coach at my last, but I wanted to prove to him that he played me in the wrong position. So I went out to the NBA Summer League, and I played. In my first game, I had 20 points, 20 rebounds, and then the coach,
What?
yeah, had
20 rebounds?
yeah. I kind of was a power forward, but I needed to be a small forward. So I was out there. I was having fun and playing, and then that coach, he said, man, it's a couple of teams of interest for you, Minnesota, North Carolina. And then I called my auntie who lives in Minnesota, and my cousin, I think my grandmother at the time. And my auntie, she was so cool. She's a fashion stylist. She passed away. She said, hey, I said, hey, auntie, how is Minnesota? And then she said, oh, you would love Minnesota. The white girls love brothers. And then I said, well, I'm on my way. and I got there, and then I worked out with the team. They had the old owners, Harvard, Marv, Rotner, and they gave me like a health club, lifetime health club membership. It's called Northwest Fitness. And then I met like all the new players the first year, 1989 Metrodome, and then so many beautiful memories. And then later, um, I just after basketball, um, I was up in Canada, Winnipeg, playing a little bit, and then after basketball, I realized uh, I had to find something else to do because I couldn't make the team because one day, I was training, I ripped all the ligaments off my ankle. I couldn't, but I did regroup. I did go to Canada, hung out, was a single, wild, crazy guy, dated beautiful women, traveled the world, and then I had a friend named Tony Williamson. He had this big house, like this huge house, like it's in North Minneapolis, 6-bedroom house, staircase that goes up like, oval staircase and all that. It was so, I was hanging around the team, just working out, and that's, then I went into teaching and as a teacher for 17 years. And the only way, that's where comedy started, because really, I mean, I ain't even do the bit about how I punched the kid. I mean, where he tried to punch me first, but I accidentally hit him. I wasn't trying to punch him. My intention was to push him, but for some reason my knuckle land on his nose, and he was out, and the kid's like, "Ooh, you got knocked the fuck out!" And he didn't. He slipped and fell. Somebody go get a bag of ice. I mean, what? He was a big kid too. He's from Hurricane Katrina, about 6'4", 240 something pounds. He looked like an NFL linebacker. He was so big. But man, that kid, man, and so I'm telling the story I didn't tell the other night. But this kid was so big. He threw a punch from Hurricane Katrina at me. I mean, he was big. I mean, that punch had so much velocity. It just swept through St. Louis. And it just came straight at my head. I just ducked. I remember hitting this kid, and man, my heart was so scared, because what happened was I thought I was pushing him, but I hit him, and the other kids, I lost control of the classroom, pandemonium. The kids like, "Oh, you got knocked the fuck out," and I was like, "No, he didn't. He slipped and fell. Somebody go get a bag of ice." And we had to drag this kid to the nurse office with a bag of ice. I had to get 2 football players because I had an integrated classroom with regular ed and special ed, and I had to get 2 football players. I said, "Hey man, come on, Brian and John, come on man, help me clean." And we we got the ice on his head, and we got him in the office. And the nurse wasn't there, and my heart pumping. I like, man, I'm about to get fired. But the beauty of it wasn't no cameras in the classroom, and I get. Yeah, and then he wakes up. This is a true story too, by the way.
Yeah.
I tell it just like it happened in my routine. He wakes up and says, "What happened?" And he's looking all discombobulated. And the football player said, "You got knocked the fuck out." I was like, "No, he didn't. We talked about that on the way down here. He slipped and fell. Now stick to the script." "Oh, okay, Miss Cage. Okay, let's come on, man. Okay, Miss Cage. Yeah, he slipped and fell." So I get the call from the principal, and he says, I need to see you in my office. I said, oh man, I'm about to get fired. I know my heart is pounding. It's the adrenaline from the situation has not subsided. My heart is pounding. My mind is racing. I said, this man about to fire me, man. And I walk in there and I just look down on the ground, my head down. I'm waiting on him to tell me. And then to my surprise, he said, hey, Mr. KJ, I want to thank you for knocking that grown ass kid out. He knocked out two students while you was gone. He has a special individual education plan, IEP. Don't worry about it, man. The kids say it's self-defense. So the district's gonna do administrative investigation, but you're gonna get a week off with pay. And then he reached in his desk and gave me a gift certificate to Ruby Tuesday for $100. And I went to Ruby Tuesday and I was drinking back then, but I've been sober 10 years now, but I was drinking back then and I ordered $100 worth of Hennessy and I tossed them back and left my car in the parking lot because I had to catch a cab home. And then a week went by. This is a true story. A week went by. I go back to work. And I see the principal. He said, first of all, I stopped in the teacher's lounge. They gave me a standing ovation. And then I had to see him. He was, hey, how you feel? How you feel? I was like, what you mean how I feel? How you feel? Do you feel like you're ready to go back to teach? I need to know how you feel. He was real stern about it. I need to know how you feel. So I cracked the joke. I said, how do I feel? I said, for $100 and a week off with pay, I'd knock another goddamn student off. I'd knock this whole goddamn school off. he was like, he's like, yeah, you ready to go back in? And then I went back in the classroom and you could hear a pin drop. This was traumatized and stuff. So to break the ice to get them to laugh, I was studying, we were learning preposition. I remember this specifically. I put prepositional phrase on the board. I said, now y'all got to quit talking Ebonic and slang. I said, now listen, you can't say, oh my mama. That's two prepositions in a row. You can phrase it like a question, like, where is your daddy? So that was my beginning to stand up, and then I told a monologue, and I did 2 years. I did a plays. I did all the classes at improv theater. I did all of them, short form, long form, parody, all that kind of stuff. And then did a play a few plays afterward. Wrote some sketches that got in there. Superheroes was in a recession, but it was a recession come the countryside. I had Superman was in a recession, and he had problems. He was flying the sky, and you know, Superman. They said women screaming for Superman, and Superman was in trouble because he had been banging all these women. They screamed, "Hey, Superman, we want some Superman." And you know, child support people looking for him. So I had Batman was in the press. He wouldn't come out the cave. He was stuck on smoking dro and loud. He wasn't coming out the cage. And Batwoman tried to get him out. And then they just decided to, you know, hang out in the cave. So I wrote some crazy stuff though. But that's me. I have a wild imagination. You would believe. And I'll tell you, I didn't even get to do a lot of stuff I wanted to do. I got about 3 hours worth of material, but I have a wild imagination.
I'll say. So the very first time that you went up on a stand-up stage, what was that like? Where was that at? And tell us about some people. I know you mentioned Tony Woods.
Yeah.
Mention people who have helped your career.
But I would say, first and most, Tony helped me in terms of, he made me realize that I need to be myself. I don't need to follow any style or anything like that. Create your own voice, your own persona, and that realization. But I would say my first experience was I was supposed to do spoken word in Detroit. You're not gonna believe the story, but it's a true story. You can ask this guy. But I was with Dion
Oh.
Cole. Yeah, I was with Dion Cole. I was the opening act. We did this. And Dion, he remembered me when I lived in LA for a few years. We did this club called Peaches and Cream, and I went up to use my improv. I was killing the first 5 minutes, and then I commenced to bombing so hard. Because I was using my improv. I said, "Who puts a pole in the middle of the stage? Is this a club or is this a strip club? What is it? You know, I don't know whether to tell a joke or slide down this pole." I was killing it, man. I was improv, and I was like, "Peaches and cream. I don't even see no peaches around here, let alone cream." So I was improv, and Dion, to this day, he remembered. But yeah, like, yeah, Dion was Dion Cole, and JD is his buddy out of Chicago. So did half of his routine and took all the meat, took the stock. And Dion was like, "Man, you didn't save me no stock, man. How you gonna do me like that?" And
Jeez.
them boys was arguing. And then I was like, "Oh man, uh just seeing JD, that's his name for Chicago Rip." I was like, "Oh man, I want to do this." And then I had to commit to learning how to write. So that's where I bought about 5 to 10 writing books. Mel Hazard, the Comedy Secret, the secret, the Comedy Secrets, writing the Comedy Secrets. I think it's a yellow book. Greg Ding. I could go on and on and then. My one of my first festivals was right here in Las Vegas, the World Comedy Series, and I met Jerry Corley and Jerry, Don Barnhart, Jerry. I had that yellow book, the Comedy Writing Secrets by Mel Hessner, and Jerry said, "Hey man, what you doing with that book, man?" I said, "Oh, man, I'm trying to get my writing." He said, "Man, I teach from that book. A lot of comics think they can't learn. They think they got to be funny naturally, but you can learn a lot." And that inspired me when Jerry Corley said, I said, "Hey, man," because I think he used to write for Jay Little or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it inspired me to write. And so now, um, when I write, and this is a long answer. You could have cut me off a long time ago. I could go on and on, man.
No, keep going. I mean,
Okay.
I'm learning. This is
Oh,
how
okay.
I learn. I've learned so much by getting to have people on here.
Oh,
And
okay.
you teach other people too by talking.
Oh, okay. So anyway, so I'm learning the writing styles. I'm looking at the different writing styles. I realize out of all of them, I'm an observationist. I'm a, traditional setup, traditional premise setup punchline guy too. But I'm also a riff and rant kind of guy. I'm a uh, I can do parody, satire. I can do, but my favorite is a combination of all of them plus storytelling. You throw in, but observation, storytelling, and occasionally I drop one line as traditional premise, setup, punchline. So I studied the rules to make my own, to combine, because I'm a very complex kind of guy, not in terms of like complex, but in terms of funny, complex. You never know how I try to keep you engaged the whole show. I try
You
to
do.
I try to never let you off the hook. I try to, if once I got my phones in you, or once I got my claws in you, ah, I'm not letting you go, man. You got to go on this ride with me. So
That's so cool. I watched you do that. I know what you're talking about. And it's something that us younger comedians in the business, when we're watching someone like you doing it, all we can do is just marvel. We can't necessarily break it down what you're doing.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at when I'm watching you. I'm like watching something and I know you're doing something great. I got no idea what you're doing.
It's just, it's the essence of comedy where you're just allowing your voice to be your voice, an extension of your creativity, your imaginations. You're allowing yourself to be free. Comedy is the last Stand-up comedy is the last refugee of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. It's my therapy. It's the place where when I played basketball and I shot by myself, and then the ball went in, I said, "Ooh, that's nice." And then I translate that to comedy, like, because comedy, and you shooting a lot, but it's the next shot that you add up all them shots, and and you want all of them to be game winners. It's like You just shoot, 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 shoot. And if you miss, you don't worry about what you miss. You just keep shooting. And so I translate my athletic experience into my artistic experience. And it's a beautiful craft. Comedy is the most difficult craft in the world to perform. And like I said, the first few years, I had to learn. I had to learn the hard way. I took hell gigs. I bombed. I went through a journey. And then once I knew I loved it, I had to take care of my instrument, which is my body. A lot of comics don't do that. They don't take care of the body. You have to take care of your instrument. So that mean I did a process of elimination. Like I had to get off weed. Weed was hard. So I got off weed before I got off drinking. I've been off weed for 13, 14 years. Then I got off drinking. And then before then, when I was younger, I tried cocaine and that wasn't good. So I got off that kind of early. And then like now I live a substance-free life and you know what I mean, it doesn't um I can be around it, it doesn't bother me or anything. Cause I know I'm around all kind of people, comics, gangsters, all that. And not gangsters in a bad way. I'm saying people who call themselves gangsters or whatever. Or so I'm around all different kind of people. But mainly now that I'm older, I try to stay around just good people, people who have a good high vibration, good vibration to them. I don't try to, I mean, but when sometimes I'm dealing with, I'm mentoring kids and I got to go into the hood, I got to deal with, you know, some challenging peoples. And most time they ain't from my own culture, you know, and the only way I can break it down to them, break the tension down, and I gotta make them laugh. I gotta say something funny or whatever, and just to make them ease them out of the tension so we can talk. We can talk about the needs of their kid or whatever. Because I mentor a lot of kids. It's one of my ways of giving back to society. Another way to service humanity and make the world better. Because you know, there's so much going on in our world. Our world sometimes is very dark. And you know what helps me be so focused? I forgot to mention in comments. I don't really watch TV. I haven't turned on the TV since you know, I haven't watched TV and I watched the game and that was it. The NBA playoff. As soon as the game is off, boop, it goes off. So I maximize life in the most positive way I can. And because if you ever watch the news, just one bad thing after bad thing after, it's toxic. And so I'm an energy guy. So I like to elevate energy, you know. But you know, I get it, you know, life does have struggle. And it's a struggle in this comedy game. I mean, I've been in this game 19 years and what keeps me hungry is I'm the underdog. People have overlooked me. They don't know what I can do until they see me. You know, like I don't even I have a hard time selecting the right tapes to send in. I have a hard time, not a hard time, but you know, a challenging time. I don't think things in life are really hard sometimes. I just think we need to phrase things so they're positive to our psyche, like challenging times. Like, what does it take for people to understand that I'm one of the true warriors in this business who really gonna try to edify this craft in a beautiful way. And all I want is a chance. That's all you put me on and you could see the beauty. That's you won't regret it. But it's
Well,
hard. It was hard getting through those doors sometimes. So I don't know. We have all these people who have egos and I'm not saying all of them do, but that's just if they got to deal with hundreds of thousands of comedians, I get why they like that. But if one of you club owners, you know, Jimmy Kimmel, all you guys, if you're watching this, I'm not one of them type of guys who want to make your life difficult. I'm one of them type of guys who want to make your life easy because I'm easy to work with. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm gonna stay out the way, I'm laid back, and I'm a health nut. That's you know, before the show, you can find me working out. you know, so I'm easy to work with, and I love people. I love all kind of people, white, black, Latino, Asian. I don't care. I love people. I have nothing but love in my heart.
let's talk about that for a second, because I witnessed you performing your I can't say comedy magic because people will misunderstand. I witnessed you doing your comedy so seamlessly and from a vantage point of having experienced your culture, but you're not up there angry, you're not up there against the crowd. And I don't mean color wise. I see a lot of comedians, you can tell they're thinking it's me against the crowd. And if the audience picks up that you're performing and you're viewing it as you're over here and they're over here, you distance yourself, but you brought them into your existence.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because we all in the same room. We all sharing the same human experience. We all having a conversation. I just happen to be the facilitator of it. Absolutely. I'm asking them, I know you experienced this too with your kids. I know they come back. Don't you love your kids? But sometimes you don't like them. I'm very relatable to their human experience. I get it. I understand, don't you, uh, like I got material about having a job. Don't you, the job, the job don't make you feel happy sometimes. It make you feel like, oh my God, I got to go in here and deal with these people and hopefully Sharada don't try to have a potluck with her old nasty ass roast she be bringing. Oh my God. People ask you to eat their food. If somebody asks you to eat their food or how it tastes, you know it ain't gonna taste good. If they ask you how it tastes, they don't even know how it tastes. But just having fun with people, man. Let them know that there's no there's no wall here. There's no wall here. You here for me and I'm here for you. We here for each other. We here to have fun. Let's talk about it. And that's where I make my conversation, to comedy. Comedy is how I channel my conversation with a whole crowd, and I treat them as one. Each are like we're in the living room. That's my father was.
I want to learn something from you. I'm going to be very brief but honest about observing you. You can start a joke and keep them laughing for the longest time I have ever seen. And I don't know what you're doing. Like I said, watching you is like watching the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. There's a curtain between me watching and you performing. So can you lift the veil a little bit and tell me some secrets, how you keep an audience laughing hysterically so long?
Well, it's timing, it's tags, it's not letting them off the hook. Once you get the first one going, then you got to be prepared to add what else you want to say. You got to give them you got to take some counts, some breaths. And okay, now let me tell you what else, and what else, and what else, and what else. No, I ain't done. No, you think I'm done, but I'm not. And let me tell you what else you did. And let me tell you, no, you think, nope, I got some more for you. And let me tell you this. And blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I'm not done. And then it transitioned to the next bit, which is kind of my set list is kind of a big story arc. And so the arc of the story where you keep going, and then toward the end, you're talking, what you know how you want to close out, about how we need to, love each other, love the one you with, what relationship is allowed with. A memorable event, a memorable experience. Like, oh man, I don't want to forget that show. That show was amazing. And so I often pray before a show for an amazing show. And usually when I send it out to the universe and the creator, it's already set for an amazing time. And I just jump in the vibe and have it. But it's strategic in your writing too, to have those tags, those punchlines, those constant punchlines. And I forgot a couple of them when I was talking about how old I was. I forgot to talk about how when you get over 40 or 50, you got to have a mean fiber game, that game, because, you know, like I was going to talk about the COVID experience and how I had a second time and the Omicron had stripped me of my iron and I had an endocardiosphy and a colonoscopy at the same time. I said, y'all couldn't play. You couldn't just play with my asshole and then get my throat the next day, but you gonna do them both of them at the same day. And so they had to do that because they wanted to know why I was almost anemic, and I was almost anemic because you know it stripped my iron level, and and plus I was vegan, I was pescatarian where you only eat fish and vegan food, and so I talked to the doctor and she said, well, you don't have enough B12 iron. And I said, where I get that stuff from? She said, I said, I'm taking it in supplements. She said, that ain't enough. Got to try meat. And then my wife's a chef. And I said, babe, you ain't gonna believe this, babe. The doctor said, I got to eat some meat. And my wife did some research. This is health and wellness. She said, well, you know, some meat has a lot of iron and minerals like liver and lamb. And she said chicken has B12 and then salmon has omega, all the omega vitamins. She was telling me all this stuff. She's really smart, really, but she's a chef in health and wellness. So I said, what do you think I should start with? She said, where do you want to start? I said, I don't know. I don't want to start with that cow, but I start with the lamb. So she made lamb chops with romaine salad and sweet potatoes and she threw sauteed artichoke hearts in the salad with roasted garlic and I was in food heaven. And then I could feel when I went to sleep how the iron was coming in because my forehead was sweating. And I was like, oh man, I'm getting that fresh iron back. And so my body had not adjusted to all that food. So I was on the stool, man. I took my phone there. I tried to relax. So I was watching Richard Pryor, right? And Richard Pryor had this joke. And the joke was like, it was like a revelation to me because I was like, man, maybe I don't have enough fire because I was struggling. And the joke was like, Richard Pryor said, you ever be sitting on the toilet and the turds try to play, and the turds play peekaboo with your asshole? So, and it was playing with mine. I said, damn, that's me right now. And the turd was like, like it want to swim, but it come back like I ain't ready. The water look cold, it's coming in. I said, come on, I'm trying to birth these babies. I'm doing Buddha breathing, deep breathing. I'm trying to get it out but that's other tags. Yeah. So I missed a couple of tags, like that one and like, like when you get older, you ever bend over, you start making weird sounds like, huh? Every time you get bent over. Huh? But fortunate for me, I was able to get my system back regulated and back in control, and I'm happy. And I quit making. Now I do yoga sometimes, so I can put my hands up under both of my toes. So I'm happy, and and people never, Linda, people never believe. I'll tell you one more story. People never believe my age. I was playing ball like a few weeks ago. I'm killing these young boys, killing them. Like I was scoring like 4 or 5, 6 bucks in a row, game winner. This is pickup ball at the health club. So I went 2 games in a row. I come on the sideline. You know what they said? Because I'm 60. They say you got to guard that old mother. And I was like, oh, who you calling old, man? You don't know me like that. You don't know my background. And then I got mad. So I started trash talking. I said, I could have fucked your mama back in the day. What's your mama name? Linda. I know about 5 or 6 Lindas I banged back in the day. We need to get a DNA test. Nah, we ain't get no DNA test because you sorry in basketball. Shut up, young boy. Take that ass whipping and go home. So I went back to my trash talking game. I said, you a comedian. Don't let this young boy talk to you like that. Calling me, oh boy, you mad because you ain't got game like I got.
That's right.
I'm old school, but I give it to them young boys. I let them know. I'm like, man, I work out more than y'all do. Look at you, man. Your blood pressure higher than mine, man. And I ain't even I ain't even got high blood pressure, but you do. I can tell by the way you running. Got high blood pressure. If you don't watch it, you're gonna have diabetes and arthritis in your 30s. So don't
So
tell me.
hard to play basketball without feet.
Yeah, you gotta have them. But I hope that answers the question. I probably danced all around it.
You
Like,
answered it perfectly, perfectly. So before we sign out, I want you to explain. I know you're humble and not really a bragger, but you've done some amazing things. You've accomplished some amazing things. So let some people know some of the things you've accomplished.
um, see, I played the lead act in an indie film called The Father. It was filmed in Minneapolis. It got an encore in a film festival. The director was John Oster. I recently went viral with I played the father of a fighter. He's a bantamweight. I can't pronounce his name. He has an African name, but it's on Venom Athletic Wear, and it's a really dope video. It's very inspirational. I co-hosted a show with John Gray, and it was in Minneapolis. We had the Super Bowl. It was on BET. They told me, they co-host. I think John got the more visual experience, but I held it down for the audience. So I co-hosted that. My breakout comedy festival, and I like to throw a shout out, was in Detroit. It was a time I was gonna quit comedy, but Lewis Black and Kathleen Madigan was in the green room. Lewis Black told me to just go out and have fun. I never forget that. And then that was my best set that year and the best set of that showcase in Detroit. So that was my breakout. And then what else? I've worked with everybody from Lewis Black, TJ Miller, Big J Okerson, um, Lavelle Crawford, Tony Woods, Damon Williams. I could go on and on, y'all. A lot of great African American comedians, a lot of great just white comedians, all type of comedians. And my goal this year is to hopefully figure out how to get a production team to film my first special, if I can get it hopefully done by the end of the year. And then I'm working on a project to shoot. It's titled In Between Unknowns, and it's the behind the scenes of my journey. And because I'm fairly unknown, but here's the problem with me. I messed around. Like I had 5 viral videos. It started with the Whopper Freak Out Ghetto version. It had 4.5 million on 2 sites, and Popeye Freak Out, Gas Freak Out, and there's 2 or 3 other ones, about 100 million hits, and I didn't know how to brand it. And that happened about 13, 14 years ago. So I was at the forefront of comedy with YouTube, but didn't know how to brand it. And now I'm trying to figure out maybe how to remix it. So it was featured on TMZ and CBS, different stuff. So I don't think Comedy Codes realize I actually did. If the young people that's coming to your club now is in the 30s or early 40s, they know me. They know me, hire me. So
Wow.
The project I got coming up is In Between Unknowns. About to play a couple of film roles in the Midwest, but In Between Unknowns is something I wrote, and it's going to co-produce. It's about the behind the scenes of my journey with my good friend Tony Woods, and we're going to do a show, and they're going to catch us raw behind the scenes, what it's like, and people can see. It's kind of docu-series. People can see the parallels between his journey and my journey, which you might see some similarities and differences, but yeah, that's what I'm working on. And maybe I need to figure out the social media game. So if y'all can follow me at KJAY the comedian on Instagram, and then I'm KJAY the comedian. I have a fan page on Facebook, but my real name is KELECHI. That's my first name. My last name is JAAVAID. You can say Javade or Javid. I like to say Javid. My wife likes to say Javade, but I don't care. It's my name. So, so either way, but people were comfortable calling me KJ the comedian, so I went with it. And It's been an amazing journey, and Linda, you're such an amazing person. I'm blessed to have met you and to spend
Yes,
time with you and to have dinner and stuff, and you and Victoria and Nabil, you guys, and what's his name, Joshua. And so that was a great time, and that's all I want to do is keep accumulating and sharing my gift, sharing my voice, and just meeting amazing comedians and just making the world better one joke at a time, one story at a time, one observation, funny thing at a time, and just doing my part to
absolutely.
to
Absolutely. I'm here for you. Let me know whatever I can do to help promote whatever you can come back anytime and plug anything you've got going. You can tell me other people you want me to plug and promote and interview.
I'm at the Notoriety this weekend. I'm there Friday and Saturday at the Notoriety with Philip. What's Philip's name? Pareto?
Philip Philip Pareto, and he also goes by Isaac Israel.
Yeah. So I'm there, and then I'm at Town Square Thursday. And
Thursday at Town Square. What
and
club are you at in Town Square?
I think it said no pits, not
No
pits,
Pits.
no
N-O,
pits,
N-O-Y, Pits,
no,
P-I-T-Z.
no pits, and then I'm at Saddles and Spurs Wednesday.
Wonderful.
And
Way
then
to
I don't know where I'm at tonight and tomorrow. Somebody gonna maybe I'll find a stage somewhere. I'm waiting on Don Barher to hit me back, man.
get that guy. Get him.
Somebody hit me up, man. I'm sitting here in the hotel. You see those brown curtains? They nice though.
It's been so wonderful to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing and sharing information of how you do what you do. That's very important for us younger comedians. It
Well,
is.
well, thank you so much, Linda, for having me. It's a pleasure, and I hope you've learned something, and I learned something from you too. And that's what
Yes.
life is. I'm always trying to learn from young people because I have young material for young people about the hip hop thing, is old school versus new school better. So I have fun with young people too. So, but thank you. And let me say this, Linda, before I go. I was young when I started. I didn't start this thing at about what 40, 41. I started comedy. So, I mean, but
Gee.
it's a journey. It's a journey.
I just started 9 years ago. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll learn
What?
anything I can. I'll learn from, you can learn from really bad comics too, what not to do.
Absolutely. That's
Learn
true.
from everybody. Learn from the
I
audience.
That's true. That's true. I learned a lot too from, but there's no age limit in this game. I mean, age ain't nothing but a number. I say what 300-400 years ago, what maybe 200 years ago, wasn't no such thing as a clock. So, you know what I mean? Age ain't nothing but a number, man. I don't pay no attention to what these people thinking about. Like I'm as young as I feel, and I'm gonna stay young and vibrant in my spirit and my mind. I don't care nothing about no clock. I don't even wear a watch. I ain't gonna lie.
I want to ask one last question, and I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask it just for those that watch.
Okay.
There's like another Wizard of Oz thing going on where people like to give out advice, and then
Mhm.
you're walking away going, what the heck does that mean? And one of the Wizard of Oz things in comedy is, let's say, I watch you and I'm mesmerized. So I say, how did you do what you just did? A lot of times a seasoned veteran comedian will say to me, you just need to learn how to read the room.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you, because you're a seasoned veteran comedian, do you pay much attention to reading the room and changing your material? To me, you seem like, that's a bunch of nonsense. People are people. I just do what I do and they come along for the ride. That's what I would guess your answer is.
Yeah, because when I walk in the room, I'm in the room with them. I'm just a person too. I mean, why I want to, be any different? I'm here to have fun with you, to entertain you. I mean, I can't do nothing about what type of people come. I'm just happy you came. So without you, there's no me. So we together. So we gonna have fun. I'm gonna rock you a little bit, tickle you behind the ears, slap you in the forehead. I mean, not literally, but I'm gonna have fun with you because You're just a human being like I am. We're sharing a human experience together, laughter. And if I'm in my head thinking about, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. No, 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 no. I gotta be me. That's it.
I love that. I love that. I pegged you perfectly that that's not the game you play at all. That's you just, and like I said at the beginning, you are so with the audience. You don't separate yourself, or a lot of comedians will get up there and badger the audience or put the audience, and you're just so gelled with the audience. It was beautiful to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love people. So you gotta have that love. That's awareness too. So my awareness is just love for people. So I don't know if that's reading the room, but that's just love for me. I love people, so they feel it and I feel it, and we get along. That's all I
You
know.
don't even have to say it. You don't have to
Yeah.
say, I'm just up here loving you, which is what I feel. But if you're up there just emitting love, they receive it and give it back.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's the key in life. Be be in your essence. Be in your being. If you love being alive and you're happy and you're grateful, it goes out. It permeates throughout your life. And I'm a grateful, humble, happy to be alive. Has had experience, near death experience. So I live in a way. I move differently than a lot of people, but I live in a way that I love each day I get. I live that way. And so each stage I get, I treat it the same way too. So it's a vibe. I love it. So I mean, I don't have to, what I mean, I ain't trying to fake nothing. I ain't trying to do something specific. No, no, no. This is what I have. This is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna have fun. That's it. That's all I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And watching you, the other thing you did right from the very beginning, and you probably don't even try, but you just relaxed the audience.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you were doing. It's another Wizard of Oz. The curtain is there, but when you got up there, something you're doing lets the audience know, I got this.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just let them know we on the same page. We here to have a good time, and we just, what I mean. I let them know, I think I said something about we all look about the same age. I think I did. I said we all look about the same age. I said, look at this sexy AARP crowd. Then I said I'm a young 43 plus a sexy 10. That joke is 7 years old. Who gives a shit though? So it eases people down. It's like relax, relax. I look young, but I'm not that young. Let's have fun,
Yeah.
relax. And with the young people, they think I'm young. Like they think I look young. They think I'm young, but I like nah, and I let them know, relax, relax. I listen to hip hop music. I used to smoke weed. I used to snort cocaine. And relax. I got stuff for you too. So
This is,
yeah, I think it's the demeanor too. When you've been through a lot in life, you have a lot to share. So that's
yes.
all.
I think the audience can really pick up on the difference between somebody who has not really experienced life, or they've had life really easy, and versus somebody that has been through and overcome and forgiven a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That is the key to forgive. You can't hold on. You gotta forgive, and you gotta have short memory. Even in comedy, and you gotta look at people have different personalities. Every show have a different personality, so you can't be bringing what you did last show into a new show. You got to have a fresh perspective, fresh openness, and openness is key too. I must say that if you're a comic, you got to be open to people. You got to have an open heart to them. If you don't come in there, you got anger issues, you got all kinds of stuff going on. They can feel it. They can feel your energy. So the world is energy. We're all an energy. We all come from the same particles of the earth: sun, moon, earth, wind, water. All that is in us. And so we have to recognize each other as just life. We're all just life. And some people like to separate themselves. My life, I am life. No, 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 no. You just life too. You just life. Only in America we put color on stuff. Only in America we make divisions. We put people in ethnicities and cultures. Only in this country. Well, maybe other countries now because people follow America, but intellectually speaking, I mean, we still need to undo a lot of damages that we've done. And so as a I try to be a leader in terms of teaching, educating people, not just in comedy, but just through my life experiences, because we all just are particles of life. We're
That's
just
it.
energy and matter of life. That's all we are.
That's it. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come on here. And this, like I said, this will be my very first video because I just signed up to have my podcast go everywhere podcasts are seen. So this is going to be the first one that does it.
Yay!
A great way to lead.
Woo! I got you, Linda.
Yeah.
My first girlfriend name was Linda in high school. Got mad and dumped me because I decided to go to college. I loved her. Linda, her name was Linda Brown. She was fine. Had a big booty on her. Big old voluptuous booty. Good looking. Ooh, from Florida too. No, from Alabama, Florida. She's a country girl. Cook.
Oh, shoot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anytime you want to come back and plug anything, you just come back.
Okay. Thank you, love. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
KJ the comedian, everybody.
Linda Marcus Smith, have a beautiful day. Be amazing.
Thank you. Love you lots. Bye.
Love you too, baby. Bye-bye.